What's up, everybody? It's Jeremy with Fluge Brothers Chimney Service. Calling in today from my home, one of my home office here. I'm dressed a little differently than usual. Going to my daughter, Haley. She made it on homecoming court, so we have a parade and a little, I don't know, thing at the football field afterwards, like a pep rally type thing. So we got all those events today and get a walk out in the field with her. It's a special time for us. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of light work, trying to get ready for everything and do that stuff at the same time. Wish we could just take a whole day off, but things must get done. And it is that time of year, so the phones are ringing off the hook. All chimney companies, especially the good ones, are going to get backed up very quickly. I saw on Facebook someone was saying that their little company is already booked out after Thanksgiving, I think, which isn't an uncommon thing. Once we get that first cold snap and people, it's off to the races. It's like everybody needs everything before Thanksgiving, and then it's another race up until Christmas. And you got to remember, November and December with the holiday, it's really kind of only about a 3 to 3.5 week working period. So that's very little time, very little time. So there's still some spots open. So if you haven't gotten on top of it, jump now if you want it done before Thanksgiving or even before Christmas with anybody, anywhere you're watching this. Because everybody does get pretty booked out. And then it starts to slow down after the first year, and usually you're getting into colder and snowy and basically a lot of problems. So people call up this time of year to get their chimney inspected. That's the most important thing, and or cleaned if needed. Just cleaning the chimney, we've talked about this before, doesn't make it safe to use. It removes the combustibles, the creosote, things like that, but the inspection is the most important part. And a lot of people say, well, I think I had it inspected 10 years ago when we bought the house. Well, things get old, and most of the time when you're buying a house that's 20, 30, 40, even 100 years old, and nothing lasts forever. And typically, statistically, the likelihood of that chimney and fireplace being maintained is pretty low. So just so there's, I wouldn't say surprises, more of a expectation of things to have your chimney checked. I kind of just did a quick Google today. I cheated a little bit because I'm pretty busy, but I Googled and it came up with 10 wood-burning fireplace problems that happen often. Number one, this article has not opening the damper. Yes, very common, very big thing. It's one thing I always go over before the holidays when I do these is, first off, open your damper. People get busy. People don't know how to operate the damper. If you don't know how to operate your damper, just another reason to have a chimney sweep out, to make sure that everything's clear and you're making sure that you know how to utilize that. And make sure they give you kind of a once over. Even if you've been a fireplace or a wood burner or gas log burner or what have you for years and years. And that's another good point. I hear it every day from people. Well, I've just got gas. I just burn gas. It must be safe, right? It's hot. It's hot. It puts off, byproducts, depending on what kind of gas log set you have. Those things need to be maintained, et cetera, et cetera. So nothing in the home is there and doesn't require maintenance. I mean, even windows have to be cleaned, right? So opening the damper, knowing how to open it, getting a good draft, cracking a window or a door to the outside, making sure that you're drawing inward up the chimney, not back out into the room, because you can get cold air. You can get negative pressure, which is where the house draws air into it, just like when you open a window and all the air hits you, that's the house drawing that air in. Number two, problems in the brickwork. Well, that's pretty common to say and understand, especially here in Kansas. I think we get about 90 freeze-thaw cycles. That's where it'll rain. Brick, we've said it before 100 times over. If you don't believe me, the guy that's been doing this for a couple decades, look it up. Bricks are porous. They're like sponge. They absorb moisture, and we do have water protectants waterproofings that can help with that to repel, as we like to call it, water repellents, kind of like Rain-X on your windshield. But this is a special product. It's better than the stuff you can just get at the hardware stores or what have you. Carries a nice warranty too. But obviously having all that checked, making sure we don't have any areas where animals can get in, water can get in, that leads to smells, things like that. All of this is relative. Number 3, obstruction. Well, of course, there's something obstructing the flue, maybe a bird's nest, maybe a squirrel's nest, maybe somebody shut something off, maybe you have some sort of a damper at the top, maybe trees have dropped a bunch of debris down. There's 100 different reasons, but making sure that there's no obstructions and having that area checked to make sure that so the smoke will go up and out, that is a wise choice. Okay, too much creosote. Number 4, too much creosote. Well, that's what we're here for. Creosote is the byproduct of wood burning. When smoke comes out, of course, there's tar droplets up in there, and it will hit the walls of that flue lining, and it'll build up just like dust builds up in your ductwork or anything builds up when stuff's passing through it. Even in water ducts, water will move through there, and even the ducting of water pipes gets clogged up with debris and things that are in the water, impurities, calcium, things like that. So it doesn't matter what's passing through something, it's going to build stuff up. And creosote is flammable. It's got about half the flash point, as the wood that you burn. So after you burn and you've got those tar droplets and it sticks to the sides of the chimney, spark can get up there and catch it on fire. And then once your chimney has had a chimney fire, it isn't, oh yay, it's okay. The chimney did its job, and it's going to need work, or it's going to need a new lining, and might need smoke chamber work, firebox work, what have you. But you don't want to. That's the chimney's job, is to contain all those byproducts. So of course you want a good functioning chimney without flaws and cracks, gaps, voids, damage, improper install, improper sizing, things of that nature. You want this thing to work properly, and you want it to be a protective shell from the fire to keep the fire in its place and away from the house, right? So very, very important. And we just were out at one yesterday, and they cleaned their own chimney for years and years, and they had a flue fire, even though they clean their chimney. That's why it's important to have an expert out. Even if you're doing your own maintenance or whatever, have an expert out. Have a good relationship. Don't just kind of randomly use different companies, because then you're going to get a bunch of different type of data. Try to make a good relationship, just like anything. I don't want to go to 5 different doctors. I like to have my own doctor, because my doctor kind of knows what's going on with me, and he'll listen to me, and he knows that we've kind of got an understanding. But if I just go to any random ER or doctor's office or whatever, I've got to fill out a lot of information. They aren't going to know a whole lot about me. I'm not going to be able to establish that trust as much. So I'm just using the outside examples, because fireplaces are the same. It's the same. It's just like any relationship in life. Okay. Number 5, cracks in the chimney lining. Again, so we've got our firebox where you burn your wood, and then you have your damper that you open and close, and then you have a smoke chamber, and the smoke chamber is like an upside down funnel. So when if we take a funnel and we turn it upside down and water flows through it, same thing with smoke. So we want a nice smooth surface. It isn't all rough or anything in a funnel. It's a nice smooth surface, and then it goes to a smaller opening, which obviously the funnel people have figured out how big that opening has to be for that fluid to flow properly. Same thing with a fireplace and chimney. There are ratios that need to be met for that draft to take place. But cracks or damage in that flue lining is not a good thing. You don't want those flue gases, carbon monoxide, all that bad stuff, creosote, stuff like that, to get to areas that can't be reached, that can embed itself, can get back to the house, can catch on fire and make that get back to the house, carbon monoxide, all of that bad stuff you see. And it's all preventative. It's all preventive. Well, I've been using it for 18 years and never been a problem. Fantastic. I wish everything in my life was I've been doing this for this long and never had a problem. But that isn't practicing avoidance. Let's say I decide to drive 100 miles an hour down the highway, and I've never gotten pulled over. Well, one day I will get pulled over. One day I will. It's just the law of averages. And if you make it all your life without, you're extremely lucky. But I want to practice prevention, and that's why people call us out to have it inspected so they know what's going on. Have it cleaned, make sure it's in good shape, just like the reason you go to the dentist. If you don't go to the dentist, then you're probably going to end up having gum disease eventually, or teeth problems. You're going to lose teeth, things like that. Could it not happen? Absolutely. I brush my teeth every day. I floss, everything else, no problems. Well, that's great. But I still go to the dentist twice a year to make sure, because I don't want other problems to spur from that. Okay, so number 6, cracks in the chimney crown. What is the chimney crown? So when they build a fireplace, the chimney goes all the way up. We're talking a masonry chimney, built out of brick in this case, which is the majority of fireplaces. But they build it up, and then the very top, they got to put a roof on it, essentially, and that's called the crown. It should be made out of concrete. Unfortunately, a lot of people make them out of mortar because that's what they have available when they build the chimney, or they're doing repairs, or maybe they just don't know what they're doing. But it should be a concrete crown. It should have spacing. It should have a nice thickness to it and an overhang so water can drip off and not back down onto the structure itself, just like we do them. Let's see here. Okay, number 7, burning the wrong material. We all know we should not be throwing pizza boxes and wrapping paper, and as I say it when we go out and clean a chimney, or we see one and there's a bunch of paper and stuff in there, ask them if they've been doing their taxes, burning all the evidence or whatever. It's a joke, but you don't want to burn that stuff. You want to burn wood. You want to burn wood and kindling and things like that, because paper and things can throw little burnt pieces up into the chimney and can catch that creosote on fire. So practicing avoidance. We don't want to burn things that are greasy. We don't want to use accelerants. Like gasoline is probably the worst, and every year I hear about people getting horribly burnt into the ER, sometimes even dying from using gasoline. And I tell kids all the time, guys, eventually you're going to go to a party somewhere, or you're going to go on a camping trip, and it's just one of those things that a lot of people don't know or don't say, and they go, oh, hey, how can we light up this fire with all this wood that we just found, on this hiking trail or whatever, that isn't split, isn't seasoned, it probably just fell off the tree or what have you, and they're trying to get this stuff to light. Well, what's the fastest way we can do that? Because everybody wants to speed up and everything. Well, it's an accelerant. And that's just not good. You don't even want to use lighter fluid and things like that. It's dangerous. So you want to start the fire properly, like the Boy Scouts and everything. Now they do have safe fire starters and what I call, but they're not accelerants. Accelerants are something that just gets it going really fast. A fire starter is like a compressed, usually a wax log, essentially, that'll get it going. It's not a Duraflame log. A Duraflame log are those little compressed logs that you can get at the grocery store, and those are nice and convenient, but read the packaging. It'll tell you to light the packaging, and that's fine. They've tested it and everything. I notice we don't get a lot of floaties and stuff, and I don't produce those. They do. But you light the packaging, and you only have one going at a time. You don't use it to refresh or freshen up a fire. You don't throw a bunch of logs on top of it. One at a time, follow the instructions. It's very, very important. But it is a nice, easy way to have a decent fire, and they usually burn a long time. And there you go. Okay, let's see here. Burning around here. Paint smell when burning. I'm going to read this one and see what they're talking about that. At number 8, if your wood fireplace is freestanding and new, it might give off a smell of burning paint. Okay, so they're talking about basically like breaking in a fireplace. So yeah, if you get it too hot, it'll actually smell like burning paint again, and you're actually like over firing if it's a fireplace or what have you. Number 9 is dirty glass doors. Of course, you want to keep those clean so you can see the fire, etc. And number 10, improper wood storage. We want to keep our firewood covered, and we want to make sure if it's over 6 inches in diameter that we're splitting it, and we're using a good, proper firewood. Okay, I hear knocks at my door because I got to get to the parade and everything. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. If it's a homecoming or whatever where you are, have a great time at it. And go Chiefs, and we'll see you next Friday. Thanks.